the whole idea of social capital and why we started this section last year. For those viewers that don't know or haven't read or haven't heard about it, is to realize that the whole point of profit and the whole point of business is human beings and to value humanity. And we have a lot of important issues and things that have come to the forefront, in the last few years, especially because of the pandemic, and some good issues. But sometimes what gets lost in the whole mix is just realizing the value of humanity, realizing that human beings are the whole reason that we're here, and to respect humanity. And business is one of the greatest, most incredible opportunities to do that. And once we recognize that, we change the way we do business. And you guys are all perfect examples of that. And business not only profits more and succeeds more, but we personally profit more and succeed more in our lives and in the lives of those people that we interact with. And so, first of all, I just want to thank each one of you for being one of those types of leaders. And thank you all for joining us today.
Appreciate the opportunity to share our perspective with these two. I looked at both Robert and Lauren's background and thought, ooh, how did I get on this panel with these? I'm going to seem kind of inferior to the brilliance of these two people.
Stop it, Bob. Stop it.
As I tell people all the time, I'm just a simple accountant from Ferguson, Missouri. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead, Bob.
So I was gonna say that sounds like walk light and carry a big stick. I don't fall for that trick. Yeah, which always beats big hat, no cattle.
Yeah, right.
Well, the simplicity is important, actually, because it really is a simple idea and a simple issue. The doing sometimes takes a lot of work and a lot of thought, but the idea is simple. And one of the best ways to do it is by being authentic. And authenticity, actually, the biggest feature we ever did last year was on authenticity, and it still has the most reads of any of our articles. And when we looked at that, we said, wow, there's something there. Being authentic is so important to customers, to employees, just to people in general. And again, seems like a simple concept, but how do you do it, and what's it about? So that's why we decided to kick off these panels with one on authenticity, and honoring all you three, first of all, for being very authentic leaders in your own way. And so what I'd love to do today is just hear what you think about what does being authentic in your business mean to you. It's a simple idea, but love to hear how you do it and what you think it means. So whoever wants to start out with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I'm happy to jump in. I always like the sort of, I always say, like, a good culture. I think the Gandhi expression is sort of when what you think, do, and say are all aligned, right? I think that, to me, is authentic. Because if you're breaking down one of those consciously, when things are good or when things are bad, then there's sort of deviation from that. So I much prefer the word authentic to integrity. I think I've heard so many different definitions of integrity. Frankly, there are different thresholds of integrity by culture of what someone would consider non-integral in one culture and then the other. But I've always liked that through line of authenticity, and just, like, again, from sort of head to word to action, it's consistent. And sometimes it's not what people want to hear, but it's the truth, and we've had a lot of these cycles in the last couple of years of kind of crazy cycles of up and down and great resignation. And I know people are always kind of sometimes wanting to say the right thing rather than what they really mean. So that's something that I've always tried to work on, even sometimes if like I said, it's not necessarily what people want to hear, or I think sometimes it can be uncomfortable too. So that's the sort of flip sides of the same coin.
And Bob, you wrote that wonderful piece for us on, telling the truth even when it hurts, and even when it's not necessarily what people want to hear. And I think that's a wonderful example of that. There's such an impetus, I think, in business nowadays to just say what you think, you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
And we when we started this, one of the first things we said was, we are not going to honor people that are just saying what they're supposed to say. We want to make sure people are doing what you're doing. Saying what they really feel and doing what they think is right, and following it through in all kinds of ways. So I love that, and that's a great place to start out. And I'd love to hear what the other two wonderful members of our panel think about that as well.
Well, I'd love to be inspired by Loma first, because I've read so much about her in the pre-work. So I'd welcome your comments first, and then I'll follow you.
I think it is a very tricky time for leaders, particularly public company CEOs, to live their values. And what I believe, my belief is that you can't live your values without being prepared to live the consequences of that. And so now is an interesting time to see really what your leaders are made of. And that doesn't mean that every CEO needs to have a stand on every single issue, but our people are watching us. And they want to know, what are the issues that really do matter to us as leaders? What do we authentically believe in? What are the issues that matter to us? And so it's been really fashionable lately to talk about having, a passion for whatever the flavor du jour is. But it's like, our employees have very refined bullshit detectors. And so you can't fool them. And so I think it's about knowing, what do you truly stand for, and do your actions, to the point that Robert was making earlier, do your actions, follow up with your words. The way that I like to think about it is, in a company, do the norms and do the beliefs get followed up both by what is rewarded and by what's punished? And that's really, to me, in a company, how you know truly what the company stands for. What's authentic are the norms and beliefs both rewarded and what is punished. And so if you have a company and you say that you believe in inclusion, that means when somebody is being belittled in a group meeting, is the person who is belittled, do other people stand up for them? And are the people who stand up for them, are they rewarded for doing that? And are the people who belittled them, are they punished for that? If both those two things aren't true, well, then your culture doesn't really stand up for those who are being belittled. And you have to watch both those sides of it. One way of thinking about what is authentic, norms and beliefs, what's being rewarded, what's being punished.
Yeah, just to jump in, a quick example from this week that I saw on this, which I actually think the headlines, when I dug into it. So the CEO of Coinbase, some people saw, and obviously they've had a rough couple of weeks. Apparently employees went to the leadership, not him, and passed a vote of no confidence resolution or something like that. And which doesn't even like a parliamentary thing. And he said, look, you shouldn't have gone to leader. I'm in charge. I'm responsible. I'm accountable. If you don't believe at all in me or my leadership or whatever, you probably shouldn't work here. And that's totally okay. And I agreed with him. Again, this to me is are we going for Twitter headlines, or are we going for, he's like, there's no such thing as a vote of no resolution in a publicly owned company sent to people who aren't in charge. But his headlines got taken out of context, but I actually had no problem with what he said, which is, if you don't believe in the leadership team, you don't believe in the management, you don't believe in our strategy, I don't totally understand why you're working here. I don't know. I thought that was refreshing when you went behind the headlines of how it was portrayed to what he actually said.
Yeah, I think I'd add to the comments my perspective. The thing I kind of want to start with is, I never use the word authentic leadership. I use the word caring. And I believe, as I think Chris and our other guests believe, that business could be a powerful force for good in the world if they simply had the skills and courage to care for the people they had the privilege of leading. And my big transformation from my traditional management, which I was doing well in prior to this 20 years transformation I've been on, is that because the way I was taught, what I came out into the real world and experience was, I saw people as a function for my success. I needed engineers. I needed accountants. I needed salespeople for my success. I was a nice guy and I treated people nicely. But the lens through which I saw people in our organization was they were a function for my organization's success. My transformation about 20 years ago occurred when my lens completely switched and I saw people as my purpose. Okay, I was interviewed by Washington University professors a few years ago, and after an hour and a half interview, they said to me, "You're the first CEO we have ever interviewed that never talked about your product." I said, "I've been talking about our product for the last hour and a half. It is our people. I will not be proud when I leave this earth of the machinery we build for our customers. I will be proud of the people that designed and built that equipment." That completely threw these professors off. And so our purpose is our people, to give our people a grounded sense of hope for the future. They can come together in teams, work with each other, enjoy the teamwork, feel valued for their contribution, and return home each night feeling safe and cared for so they can be good stewards at home. I was never taught in my education that the way I would run our company would affect people's health and affect their marriage and the relationship with the children. But when we teach in Barry-Wehmiller University, people to move from management to leadership, and I define management as the manipulation of others for your success. And leadership is the stewardship of the lives entrusted you. So when we take people on that journey through our university, internal university, 95% of the feedback we get is how it affects their marriage and their relationship with their children. Okay. So I believe business can create economic and human value in harmony, but we can't ask business leaders to care because they don't know how to care. They might be nice people, send notes on birthdays, congratulate people on their graduation, but learning to care for the people you have the responsibility to lead is a very challenging endeavor in public and private. Okay. Different challenges, but still a challenge.
So, Bob, I would just add on to that maybe a little bit of a twist, which is what we see in our research. And part of our company, Grokr, we have a whole research wing, which is Grokr Innovation Labs. And because our clients are global and some of the largest companies in the world, we have millions of employees all over the world that we do the research with. The panels, what we're seeing is that the three things that, apart from a living wage, which is what they need, it's beyond the abstract feeling of caring, which I completely agree. The three things that they want, and I write about this in my book, is they want a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and a sense of balance, the PB squared. And so the three things that they're yearning for from their managers, and there's a lot of companies now, we talked about the word integrity, not knowing what that means earlier, Robert, but what they're looking for is, a sense of purpose, meaning my work has meaning, what I do, and I can connect what I do to a larger purpose than myself. I'm making the world a better place. Maybe I'm, providing employment, whatever. A sense of belonging. My tribe is here. There's a really interesting McKinsey study last year. You may have seen 51% of employees actually quit their jobs because they felt they didn't have a sense of belonging. And then the sense of balance, meaning I'm no longer willing to tolerate having a huge conflict between my work life and my home life. And then, so there's PB squared, purpose, belonging, and balance. I think the equation has gotten much more complicated, and it's not just for Gen Zers and millennials anymore. It's infected every single age in the workforce. So I think teaching people to care, but know the complexity of it is just so important nowadays for all of the CEOs and leaders around the world.
I would share with you that when I speak in every part of society around the world about leadership. And the piece of again, I'm a simple accountant, and I've been blessed with these revelations. But the one that seems to relate to the McKinsey people, the Harvard people, because our case study on our culture has become a bestseller at Harvard. 70 universities from Japan to India study our culture now through the Harvard case study. So I would say to you, the biggest thing I would say to you is what we focus on. And I learned more about leadership and parenting our 6 kids than I did in business school, okay? Because parenting and leadership is identical. It is caring for the people in your span of care. And care does not mean being nice. It means being a good steward. And so when we teach people to move from management to leadership, we teach them empathetic listening as the foundation, and then recognition and celebration, how to make people feel valued. And then we have to create value, and then culture of service, seizing the opportunity to serve others. All I can say is I had no idea what we had fallen into until Simon Sinek, Bill Urey of Harvard, the top came in and said, I've never seen anything like this. You know, we're a traditional manufacturing firm with 12,000 people around the world. And I find this universally true. People simply want to know they matter. As Tom Friedman said in the New York Times, we don't have a poverty of money in this world. We have a poverty of dignity, which means people don't feel valued. They feel used for somebody else's purpose. So when you do surveys, where 88% of all people feel they work for an organization that doesn't care about them, 65% of all people would fire their boss if they could. And there's a 20% increase in heart attacks. You're surveying a broken population. And so all I can say to you is I believe, this is just my belief, we were blessed with the leadership model where business could be a powerful force for good if you simply cared about the people you had the privilege of leading. And that means having a good business model that allows them to be safe, and then a role as part of a team where they feel heard, validated, and go home each night feeling they're part of something greater than themselves. And they treat their husbands, wives, and kids the way they've been treated. So I can only say to you, the feedback we've gotten from the case study that Harvard did, the reaction to our book, my talks around the world, is that people hunger for dignity, and money does not give you dignity. Leadership gives you dignity. It validates your work. So that's kind of our crude findings that we now share with the world through our Leadership Institute, our nonprofit, and the work we're doing in education right now is to teach leaders how to care, not tell them to care, but teach them how to care.
And I love what both of you put together there. The combination of that is incredible because, you know, we're talking about, you know, taking that word caring. And a lot of people say it, you know, there's a lot of leaders nowadays that say, okay, we care, but do they really care? Do they really figure out a way to put that, you know, into action? So that's that connection to authenticity for me. And if you really do care and you're really being authentic about it, you know, the rubber's got to hit, you know, meet the road, so to speak. You know, Robert, you know, we've had conversations and you've written things about, you know, having employees have time off and making sure that they have time to do what they need to do. You wrote a great article about shutting down and how important that was. And share a little bit about just something like that, how that can help people to feel that you understand their value, that you understand how important they are, and that they have the same needs to take a break as everybody else.
Yeah, and that comes from the top. I mean, similar to Bob. So we have this philosophy around holistically building people's capacity. Like, how can like you don't walk, you know, out of your house exhausted, very bad at prioritization and bad with money, and walk into work and you're, you know, have a ton of energy, great on your priorities, and are an amazing budgeter, right? You are the same person. So similar to what he said, like we focused our training and our general life skills that make people better leaders, that make them better inside of work and outside of work. And I think they're universal. I have a little bit of a different viewpoint on, I know there's a lot of Gen Z that wants like work to take over all these life things and mental health services at work and all this stuff. I like the concept more of work-life integration, which is you should have a job where you're encouraged to go home, where you're encouraged to, you know, run a marathon and prepare for that, or do things outside of work and take care of your family. And, you know, work should respect your life outside of work, and your life outside of work, you know, should work through that. And those things fit together like a puzzle because it's a little different for each person. And, you know, we don't want to be prescriptive. So we believe in this sort of high flexibility and high accountability. You know, if you're someone who's accountable, then there's a high degree of flexibility. And yeah, we focus a lot on figuring out what's important to our employees. How can we help them achieve them? You know, I think to what Bob said, I totally agree. Like if something you learn how to do, if learning how to be more patient, if learning how to have more authentic, direct conversations, helps you become a better leader at work and a better relationship with your husband or mother, or, outside of work, we probably have the same problem, then you associate that, with your workplace. And, we kind of stress a lot, like not having, the 80-20 rule is hard to overcome. And so, not having it be about inputs or valuing FaceTime or, and really trying to get people focused on what matters for the organization, what matters for them, and how do these two kind of fit together in a harmonious way. I think that, there's some blurring of the lines in some of these contexts around that businesses should get into all sort of, professional, personal services and things. I don't actually think that's what people want. I think they want to have their life, do the things that are important to them, have work respect that, and have it all fit together, in a nice way. I read a lot of these things about mental health. Well, having a good boss, having someone who tells you to take a break, having someone who recognizes when you're overworked, like those are all aspects of helping, improve mental health. I'm not, whether the company should be in the delivery of those services, that's a whole different discussion, and I might not necessarily, agree with.
So the thing that I just thought of, Bob, when you were talking about that is, there's a lot of companies, and I won't mention them, but that really go overboard and out of their way to try to make, the office like your home, and they've got a foosball and they've got, all these different.
Yeah, they all have terrible cultures. That's designed to make you never leave the workplace.
Right. And basically what they're trying
They'll give
to
you
say
your booster without leaving your desk. Right?
Exactly. You can actually work 18 hours a day now because we have everything you need here. And I think, to your point, that's not recognizing what people really want, because most people don't want to be at the office that long. I think most people would rather be out doing whatever they want to do with their loved ones and everybody else than, playing some video game at work.
Yeah, I joked because there was a survey of college students, and they asked them, what are they looking for in a workplace? And some of the things are not, I just wrote an article, hey, this old Gen Xer, and it was like 25% wanted to be played in crypto. I'm like, that's not going to make you happier at work, right? That sounds like a gimmick that a company would offer, right, to get you to think that they're cool. But this is the things that, like, what is actually proven to make you more engaged and belonging and meaningful your work. I like Dan Pink's framework of people are looking for autonomy, mastery, and purpose, behind his book, Drive. Like, that's definitely more important than being paid in crypto.
Well, actually, I think right now, I was speaking at a conference 2 weeks ago. A lot of our clients are large retail companies, the largest, and hospitality as well. So you think of some of the large, MGM Resorts International, Disney, Target, CVS Health. These companies, they are on the front lines of trying to get workers. This is a real problem of trying to attract and retain talent. And so, it's not a joke about what these people want. And the first thing that they want is they want a living wage. You got to pay them, but they can go across the street here and make $18 an hour, and they can go across the street here and make $18 an hour. But they're all able to quit and get another job tomorrow. There are 2 job openings for every applicant in the country right now. And so in terms of what they're looking for, forget about the tech economy, that's different. And some of them really do want to get paid in crypto. But we're talking about frontline workers. What they want is actually for the employers to think differently about careers for them. And maybe not to just think about, you're going to come here and always be working necessarily as a floor associate. Maybe you can think about me differently. Maybe we can think more like the way that Apple might, or the way that investment bank might, where we can have rotational programs and where there could be careers, because, less than a third of hospitality workers who were sent home during the pandemic said that they wanted to go back into hospitality. So I think we really do need to think about not just caring for people, but how do we help them think about their future differently? Because less than half of today's millennials are going to make as much money as their parents did. So it's a whole different world out there, even beyond just caring, to help them think about their futures, because it's not as bright as ours was coming out of school, 21 years ago.
It's interesting. We have this Chapman and Co. Leadership Institute, we're helping major corporations learn to care for their people. So we've got 45 people dedicated. And the interesting thing for me is, as I've listened to these CEOs who are now helping and they respond to our message, I say, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I look back, and our education system is not, our universities have become skills factories. We produce accountants, lawyers, marketing specialists who go into organizations and then are promoted into leadership roles where they have no experience of leadership. Okay. They were a good accountant. They became accounting manager. So I would say to you, Georgetown University and Washington University did a study of our two largest operations to validate our culture. They wanted academic validation. And so I said 88% of all people feel they work for an organization that does not care about them. What Georgetown and Washington University came back was 79% of our people feel we care for them. But what surprised them, because of this culture I've talked about of caring, is they found a high degree of altruism in our company. People willing to do something for somebody else without expecting anything in return. And I would say to you, what I see is everybody's reacting to this great resignation in the country. We got to address our culture. We need to fix it because we're losing people. You're right. People are quitting jobs, but they're joining other jobs that are just as miserable, because in every part of society I speak, the Air Force, the healthcare, the military, government, we don't have leaders who have the skills to care for people. We have leaders that get results, okay? Financial results, okay? That is what we reward. Until we change and see that we're creating human value and economic value in harmony. So we, Chris, say it's about people, purpose, and performance. And the first word intentionally is people. It's about looking at the people in your span of care as somebody's precious child that's been placed in your care and treating them with respect and dignity, and hopefully sending them home each night feeling that who they are and what they do matters, okay? Around a business model that is robust, that gives them a sense that they can begin a family, buy a home, and grow. So I would say to you, those three are the foundation, and we have then the Constitution, which is our guiding principles of leadership. These are the principles upon which we lead. So authenticity is staying true to our values and showing people we care. And this resulted in the 08-09 economic crisis, when a lot of business models were tested and failed. Our share price went up 11% that year. We let nobody go. And our business model got our people safely through the worst economic crisis we've seen. So as leaders, I emphasize it is not just about being nice and caring and providing healthcare insurance. It is about making sure they feel safe, that they can live their life, that they can come and be a part of an organization where they help each other and go home each night feeling valued. And it makes it, and again, the astounding thing to me is the feedback is always how it affects their marriage and their relationship with their kids. Because right now we send most people home stressed, abused, frustrated, and they go home and treat their spouse, and their kids watch behavior. And when we see the brokenness in our world right now, it is because most families are under stress from the jobs they have where they don't feel valued, and they come home and they're not the parent, the spouse, the community where they should be. So we could be together with this message, a powerful force to wake people up. We need leaders who have the skills and courage to care.
You know, I absolutely love what you just said there, Bob, and what all of you are saying. And, you know, we're just about out of time on this, and we could talk for 2-3 more hours about this. So we'll have to definitely have another one of these. But my big takeaway from all this is, you know, when you talk about authenticity, and, you know, Bob made the point about altruism being big in his company. You know, we started this thing with the idea that Adam Smith, when he wrote his, you know, the guy who wrote Wealth of Nations and, you know, thought of as the grandfather of capitalism, so to speak, you know, he wrote another book where he opened that book by saying, no matter what man may, and no matter how selfish man may seem to be, what he desires more is to see the betterment of others. And I think we all feel that, and I think we all want to feel that everywhere we are, and no matter what we're doing, and we've been kind of programmed to believe that we can't feel that at work. And but we not only can feel that at work, we need to feel that at work. We want to feel that at work. And so, truly being authentic means, truly believing in that, in your company and in everything you do in your company. And I think everything that every one of you is doing that in some extraordinary ways and trying to further that message. So again, I want to thank you for doing that, and I want to thank you for giving these ideas for how to do that more. I hope a lot of other CEOs look at this and listen to this. And I want to welcome you all back again to do another one of these and talk about more of these ideas and to continue to doing it, every day in your companies. And thank you so much for doing that.
It's an honor to be included in your discussion panel. Thank you for being a part of it.
All right, guys, have a great one, and we'll all talk soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Chris.
Okay, bye-bye.